Okay, I'll throw something out here. This is not public yet.
It's about to be. Welcome to the podcast. I've got the founder and CEO of InvestorLift, which has transformed investing for wholesalers, disposition for wholesalers, for buyers. It's probably the most robust platform on the market. I've got Robert Wensley. Welcome to the podcast, Robert.
Thanks, Troy. I appreciate you having me. Excited to dive in and hopefully make people a lot of money just based on the insights that we share here today.
Yeah, I mean, for those of you guys who don't know what InvestorLift is, can you break down what InvestorLift is, Robert?
Yeah, so like the inside joke is we're Zillow for trap houses.
Is that your mission statement or like your slogan?
It literally says that on our YouTube page. It's like we are Zillow for trap houses. But you know, like all these other platforms that exist, Zillow, Redfin, they're really going after like the retail market, the nice, pretty HGTV houses. There was a few people that had tried to build marketplaces for real estate investors, but there wasn't anything really out there that was great that actually worked. You know, My House Deals was around since like 2008. There was a bunch that had popped up over the years, but they just kind of became graveyards for shitty deals. So a couple of years ago, I was like, you know, let's build a good one that has good deals, has good buyers, where deals actually sell, and kicked it off a few years ago. And yeah, just has gone absolutely viral ever since. We now move 2.5 times more properties per month than all of the iBuyers combined. So it's been tremendous success. We also just broke this is one thing I'm really proud of, is we just broke $1 billion, billion with a B, $1 billion in assignment fees earned for our customers. So yeah, it just started off as a little side project, something I was working on for myself and my friends, and it took off and has been going viral ever since.
Let's dive a little deeper with that conversation. I know we had talked about that at lunch. So like, to build a software platform, I would think you got to be a software guy, and to build a software for real estate, you kind of got to be a real estate guy. So talk about like your background, where you came from. You're in Phoenix, Arizona. Did you grow up there? Tell me a little bit about that.
I grew up all over the place, but after school, I ended up working for a real estate investor in Washington, D.C., Brad Chandler Express Home Buyers, and helped grow them to become what I think was probably the first $1 million a month wholesaler. So that gave me the wholesaling skills. And then after I went out and started doing it on my own, yeah, I realized to gain a competitive advantage in the real estate investing space, you got to be the most tech-enabled investor. If you look at the gap between the beginner and the pro, the gap is technology, right? So I had done a lot of computer science courses in college. And so the first version of InvestorLift, I coded up in one night myself. I don't code anymore, but I did have a little bit of a background in coding and also had that background in real estate investing. So put the two together and was able to come up with something that actually works.
And essentially, InvestorLift is a way to market your trap houses to cash buyers and investors all throughout the country.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have 5.4 million buyers now. So it doesn't matter where the property is, we got buyers for it.
I'll speak to that firsthand. I will tell you that their software is so damn good. Like, in Houston, Texas, I had bought several houses to flip, and all of a sudden I get all this marketing material from InvestorLift. I'm like, and I actually didn't mind it because deals are coming my way and I didn't even ask for them. And I'm like, that's cool. Like, you know what I mean? That's awesome. So like, what was the first rollout, and what is like where you're at now? Where are you trying to go?
Yeah, so it all started, I had moved from Washington, D.C. to California. Then I had a great buyers list in Washington, D.C., but when we moved out to California, I didn't have a buyers list. So I first went out and tried to get some of my buddies that were like big in data science to build a solution for me. And that helped a little bit, but I really need like an application to sit on top of it. No one wants to build an application. So I built it for myself initially just to build up my buyers list in a new market. And then I realized it's really goddamn expensive to build software. So I started inviting some of my friends on. I'm like, hey, if you jump on, we can, you cover some of the development costs, chip in a little bit each month, and everything I build for my company, I'll give you a copy of it. So starting off just with our first feature, God Mode, which allows you to see all the real estate investment deals that have happened around your deal, who did them, what they bought them for, what they sold them for. And we introduced something called buyer scoring, where every single investor has a score depending on how many deals that they do. So that's kind of how it started out. And then we introduced more and more features, like one that we introduced last year, which absolutely has been crushing it. It's pretty much doubled the transactions that we do on any given basis, is something called Artemis Mode. What Artemis Mode lets you do is it lets you see everyone that's looking at your deal. So when you go send out your marketing messages, your text or email blast or whatever on deal, or people are just visiting your deal on InvestorLift, you can see a list of every single person that has looked at your deal. How long did they spend looking at the deal? How many images did they click through? Did they favorite the deal? Did they submit an inquiry? Did they submit an offer? And it scores all those buyers based on their action score. So really, that really makes it really efficient on Dispo, because you just send out your blast and then boom, you got your lead list. Just call the lead list top to bottom. A lot of times you don't even need to call the leads. You call the first 10, 15, you got the deal sold, or you got multiple bids that you can bid up. So that was really cool. And then we extended that so that on the higher level plans, you can actually see the lead lists that were generated on other deals sold nearby. So if I got a deal for sale in Dallas, Texas, and there's 20 other deals sold nearby in Dallas, Texas, I can pull up my Artemis Mode list. I can see all the guys that bought those 20 deals on InvestorLift nearby really recently. If someone just bought something 2 streets down on InvestorLift a couple months ago, chances are they're a pretty qualified buyer, right? So we introduced that. That was pretty cool. Right now, of course, with like AI, like it's a race to who can build the best AI the fastest. I was just down in Punta Cana with my team, and we were demoing our 2 latest new AIs. We've been working on them for quite a while, probably over a year. But we've held back on releasing them because I don't want to release something unless it's just like industry changing, right? Every time we do one of these drops and we introduce something new, it always just changes the whole game, right? We've changed the whole game multiple times as we've rolled out these new things. So the new AI is going to be absolutely incredible. Instead of, right now, if you're working God Mode, you got a list of like 2,000 different prospects, and you're manually trying to filter them, trying to figure out who might be the best buyer for that deal. But a human can only handle about 7 to 9 data points at a time when making a decision. Yeah. An AI can look at millions of them in a fraction of a second, come up with something way beyond what even 100 humans could do together over the course of a much longer period of time. So, the new AI on that side of things, instead of having to go through, lists of hundreds of people or email blast thousands of people, it'll just cut it down to like, here's the 10 perfect buyers for this deal, right?
I love it.
And then we're doing it the other way as well. One of the biggest complaints we get out of investors is people are like, oh, you send way too many emails. We do. We send 80 million emails per month. I'm from Canada originally. There's 35 million people in Canada. That's like hitting every man, woman, and child in Canada more than twice per month. So yeah, we do send too many emails. Where we're going to go with this is we're eventually going to move completely away from email. Email is a dying medium. People that are building their businesses on email right now, they're going to be dead in the water in a couple of years, right? Yeah. So we're rolling out a mobile application for buyers that's coming out next month. Super excited for that. We've been working on it since last year. That will give a much better mobile experience. And then where we're going to be going on future versions is the buyer will come on, they'll link up the deals that they've done in the past that will build up a profile of what they're interested in investing in. And then the AI will get trained on the deals that they've done, building them their own custom personalized AI assistant that will then look at all of the deals listed across the entire country, thousands of deals, and just spit out your daily digest of, hey, here's the 10, 15, 20 best deals in your market that, based on millions of parameters, show that these are going to be the best investing opportunities for you specifically based on what you invest in.
So this is awesome stuff that you're talking about right now. Where are you getting the information? Are you getting a lot of the ideas from the users telling you what they need, or and I got so many questions. That's the first one, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's a combination. So like what I do all day is just talk to my team and talk to CEOs that are running companies and figure out what their biggest pain points are, right? Ultimately, what we're trying to get to is press button, sell deal, right? If you look at all the greatest tech companies in history, like Uber, press button, get car. Airbnb, press button, get villa. They're all trying to really focus in on one very simple thing and become the best in the world at that. So, I was had a meeting with my design team a couple of days ago, and we're like working on redesigning the user interface. I'm like, hey, the best user interface is no user interface at all. Like, how do we cut out 90% of this? So we do get a lot of great feedback and stuff from real estate investors, but a lot of times that's incremental feedback. Like, hey, could you add a button for this? Could you add a filter for this? What we try to do with our team internally is think about ways to just completely reimagine how we do things in real estate investing. And usually the best way to make something more efficient is to just delete it. So we're constantly thinking about how do we delete sections? How do we delete entire workflows? How do we get closer to press button, sell deal, right? So one of the biggest challenges we have on InvestorLift, when we have customers that come on and don't have success, one of the things I'll usually do or our team will do before calling that customer, we actually have, this is really cool, we have AI that's running on every single customer on InvestorLift, tracking everything that all their agents do, all their discipline managers, all that. And it's comparing that activity of that customer based on it against every other customer. So we can actually predict 2 to 3 months before someone leaves InvestorLift that they're going to leave InvestorLift, right? And then that cues over to our success managers. Our success managers will reach out and be like, hey, here's what you're screwing up on. One of the things that we test for on those calls before we get on the calls is, are they actually answering the phone? So we'll go on their profile. They'll have 10 different deals for sale. We'll call all their discipline managers, see how long it takes for them to call us back. Right. 90% of the time, they're calling us back like the next day or 2 days later. That's not how it works in real estate investing. In real estate investing, it's all about speed, right? Speed to deal. So we're going to be moving towards a world where like AI is just selling the deals for you. It's finding the buyers, it's initiating conversations, it's communicating with those buyers, and you don't even need a dispo rep. Maybe you need a dispo rep at the very final close, but we're trying to get to the point where like 80 to 90% of the workflows are completely handled by AI. And because the humans can't compete against AI. Like they just can't. You could take the best discipline manager in the entire world, they're not going to be able to beat an AI.
I agree 100%.
Yeah. So that's where we're headed. This stuff does cost a shit ton of money to build. And
can we talk about that? Like, because I think I told you when we were at lunch, I was like, I want to build my own app, but it's like, it's such a, you can't, like, you got to go all in. Like you're all in. Like you got to go all in on this type of situation. It's got to be a complete obsession. Talk about like, what does this stuff cost to run, to develop, and to build?
Yeah. So like this year, just to keep the servers on and everything, it costs about 1.2 million just to keep the switch on, keep the lights on. That's if you just cut all the people. And then R&D, we're going to plug about $10 to $15 million this year into R&D, building all this stuff. Engineers are expensive. Data scientists are even more expensive.
Yeah. Right. It's not. Yeah. Somebody told me to build an app, I was going to need $250,000 to build the app. And I was like,
it would be a lot more. It would probably, like you can't really build an actual app for more than a few $1 million. Like you can build an MVP, like a prototype to like show people something, but you can't actually build. It could cost millions and millions of dollars to actually build an actual real robust software system. This is why like I kind of feel bad for the guys that are trying to do copycats. So there's this big, it used to be that we get one copycat every week or so. And that went on for a few years. And we used to track them all. And I just stopped tracking them all because they usually last about 1 to 6 months before the guys hit the wall and realize how hard it is. Mm-hmm. We've now seen another flood come in. It kind of tippered off for a few years. I think no one had money. Now people are starting to get money again. So as soon as people get money, they're like, I'm going to go build a cheaper version of InvestorLift. I'm like, good luck. Have fun with that one. They usually last.
I mean, but that's like, that speaks to your success. Like, and I think I had sent you a text message about somebody, like obviously people are trying to go after your customers. That's always like, hey, like, that's a good thing because we're doing something right. And it's like, competition's just trying to rip us off. And the only thing, you got the lead, right? So it's yours to like keep or yours. And if you're constantly reinventing like the way that you say you are, like, you're not going to lose the lead. Like, they can't catch you.
No, they can't catch us because, I mean, the amount of data we have, we've been tracking every single buyer interaction since day one. So it's kind of like Tesla, right? Like Tesla, the real beautiful thing about Tesla, the reason why they're valued so high is not because of how many cars they sell. It's because every car is a node on the network that's spinning off data, which is training the AI. You know, Tesla's not a car company. It's an AI company that happens to sell cars, right? So they already have so many cars on the road training their AI models that it's very difficult for anyone to catch up. So similarly, we've been tracking every buyer interaction on InvestorLift since day one, every click, everything they've looked at.
Right.
So we have the only data set that you could actually use to build AI. Like it takes years to build up those data sets. You can't just get 3 years of activity across 5 million buyers. You can't buy that data, right? It doesn't exist. You have to just spend 2-3 years selling thousands, tens of thousands of deals. We're now, I think, 144,000 houses sold.
Wow.
Getting enough activity data to actually build an AI model that works, right? AI algorithms are out there, right? Anyone can go download an AI algorithm, right? Anyone can get access to ChatGPT. That doesn't mean shit. What really matters is what is the programming that you give it. And the programming you give it comes from the databases, comes from the data you have, and no one else has the data. And no one else is going to be able to create those data sets. So, it's very easy to build something like, hey, post a deal. I built the first MVP in one night that did that. So it's not too difficult to do that. But to actually get the data sets you need the users, right? So that's a very tough thing to get all the users. You need to get all the buyers actually buying stuff, shopping, to get the data that then will allow you to build the AI. So we've been able to achieve that finally. I'm super excited for the AI to roll out. I don't know when it's going to come out. It'll come out when it's done. I don't want to be Elon Musk and promise like, hey, the Roadster is coming next year, and then 5 years later. But sometime this year it'll be out, and it'll change the game. It'll completely change real estate investing.
Well, I think InvestorList has changed the game. Like, I mean, as a guy who's been in this business since 2000 and I would say 2009 actively, but 2004, actually, it has changed the game. Like there is no, and I'm not trying to flatter you. I'm not trying to kiss your ass. I'm telling you straight up, like InvestorLift has changed the game. And when you're a game changer, and what you saw was like, and I remember hearing this from like Sheldon Adelson before he died. He's like, if you find a solution for a problem that exists, you're going to be filthy rich, because there's been so many, even like if you look at like PropStream and Deal Machine, these guys are kind of just stuck in the technology that they're doing. Even if you look at fucking Zillow, who I've met with the CEO, they haven't the only one I've seen do a good job besides you guys, like from a technology standpoint, is Redfin. Like everybody else their technology is dying, right? Mm-hmm. So you guys, how did you realize there was such a big problem, and then how do you get that out to investors to let them know?
Yeah, so I think like the big mistake that a lot of people make when they're trying to start a company is they're trying to find a solution. They engineer some solution, they try to find a problem. The best companies are when you have a really big problem yourself and you just try to solve your own problem. Right. So I wasn't trying to create a software company when I built this. I was just trying to be the best wholesaler in the country. Right. I wanted to be the first $100 million a year wholesaler. That was my goal up until a few years ago when InvestorLift really started taking off. And I was like, shit, I got to pick one. Do I try to become the biggest wholesaler, or do I try to do the software thing? But so that's the first thing. I think the second question is like, how do you get that option? You get that option just by being the best, right? Like if you have something that sucks and doesn't work, the market will reject you. The market is ruthless. The market does not care. No one cares about your feelings. No one cares that you love your product. No one cares that you think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Over and over again, I see these. You ever watch Shark Tank?
No, I love it. Yeah, of course.
You watch Shark Tank and like someone comes in with the dumbest idea, And, Kevin O'Leary always will shoot straight. And he'd be like, how do you fund this? Like, this is the worst idea I've seen. You need to take around to the back of the barn and shoot in the head. Like, kill this. Stop this insanity. And then sometimes you'll ask, how did you finance this? They'll say, oh, my parents remortgaged their house.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God. And they're like, oh, I know it's a good idea. All my friends say it's a good idea. My mom, my dad say it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Guess what? It doesn't matter what your friends, your family, they're always going to support your idea no matter what, because they want to support you.
Yeah.
The true question is, does the market like what you're doing? Does the market accept? Does the market find value in what you're doing? And the only way to do that is to take something out to market and try to sell it and see if people will give you money for it. The reason why InvestorLift took off is just because we had something that worked, right? There's been a million other deal platforms out there, but they don't work. The deals don't actually sell. We're the first ones to build something where the deals actually sold. And so we helped our customers earn $1 billion. As a result, they're very loyal. I don't need to spend money on marketing. All our customers just bring other customers in. And once you get like a positive viral coefficient where like every user is bringing on at least another user, you don't need to spend money on marketing. The system just is going to grow itself. So that's what we really tapped into, is like Tesla. Elon Musk does the same thing at Tesla. He doesn't spend money marketing his cars. He just builds a really goddamn good car, and then people come on and they're like, hey, Tesla's awesome. You should get one.
Totally. So it's like you're like the Tesla version of real estate wholesaling is what you're kind of going for.
Yeah, I try to be, because when you spend money on marketing, it's punishment for having a shitty product. So whenever I'm trying to decide between allocating money, like should we start doing some marketing now, or should we push more innovation, more R&D?
I might disagree a little bit, just because like I do agree with like what you said, like 100%, that like you're going to just grow because of you're doing a good job. But I think if you do marketing properly with that same mindset, then you're going to grow faster, right? Like, because the more people that know you, right? Like the more people that are aware of you, and maybe there's people that aren't aware of you that should be aware of you, right? Like, and that's the only thing I maybe disagree with, because I do agree, like, if my product's so fucking good, I don't need to market it as much, but I still need to market it to let people know who I am.
Yeah, the way that we approach that is like our marketing dollars go into our partnership program. So we pay out 20% perpetuity. So instead of me trying to run Google ads or Facebook ads or whatever, I mean, we do dabble and do a little bit of that, but most of what we spend on acquiring customers, we're like, hey, instead of us paying Google and Facebook, let's go pay our users. Our users know the product. If they love the product, if their business is completely dependent on it, if it's helped them double their business, they're going to be the best advocate, right? Like if your buddy came to you and was like, hey, you got to check out this new software, it's sick. Versus if you see a YouTube ad, if your buddy tells you, you're 100 times more likely to actually take action than if you just see like something, on Facebook or Google or whatever. So yeah, I mean,
you guys do marketing. You do it a different way. You don't do it. You don't do traditional marketing where you're paying for views. You're doing it from. I actually think very similar. Are you familiar with Go High Level?
Yeah.
Like I think that. So you've got a very similar model that they do, right?
I'm not familiar 100% with like how their model works. Is it a strong affiliate model or?
Yeah, it is. It's a strong affiliate model. I think it's really great the way that they do it. And, I'm just going to talk about what they do, but what a lot of guys do is they white label it, right? They design their own version and they white label that version. And even like guys who have courses and this and so forth. But there's a lot of guys that are out there teaching other people how to use the product, right? So Go High Level doesn't have to. Right. Yeah. And that responsibility now comes onto that affiliate. And therefore that guy can make a lot of money if he believes and knows the product and supports the product and does it well. And then, like you said, you got direct access to the guy who's designing the product. So they're getting direct feedback, just like you're talking about, from the people, which making the technology grow that much faster. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that because it's non-linear, right? A lot of times if you're doing like direct sales, you have linear growth. But if you can jump on a model like that, then you can start hitting exponential growth. So that's why those models are so powerful. But you need a good product, right? It only works if you have a good product. If you have a bad product, people are just going to leave. They'll churn out. You can't get those viral loops going.
For sure.
If you have a really good product that actually makes people money and improves their lives and improves their businesses, then yeah, that's one of the most effective ways to grow.
Hey, if you're listening to this podcast right now, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you give us a 5-star review. And we've got content all over the place, TikTok, Instagram, you name it. But we also have a coaching program. If you are looking for a coach, we have the Millionaire Mentorship, and this is a coaching program where I actually help you get your first investment property within the first 90 days, or I'll pay you $1,000 cash. That's how confident I am to get you that type of result. And I know you might be here and you might be listening, you might be scared, you might not want to take action, but that is not going to get you where you want to be. And obviously, if you're listening to this podcast right now, you want to take action and you're trying to gather the information, but maybe you're confused. Maybe you're just like a lot of people that I talk to. You're scared of losing money. You want to become financially free, but you don't know where to start. And that's exactly what I help you to do in this program. So do yourself a favor, book a call with me and my team, and let's get the ball rolling. The link is in the description, and we'll put it in the video right here, right now. Thanks. Hope you enjoy the show.
So let's talk about that. So with InvestorLift, if I'm a wholesaler and I'm trying to why should I be using InvestorLift? What are the benefits of InvestorLift for people who have never heard of it, or don't know what it is, or aren't familiar with it, or got scared off by whatever the cost is? Why is it an indispensable part of my business?
Yeah. So if you actually know what the numbers are, and you're actually doing like one or more deals per month, it's actually insanity to not have it. I'll tell you why. So all we're doing is increasing the demand for your deals, right? There's supply and demand. If you're a wholesaler and you got 500 people on your buyers list and you're selling to the same buyers over and over and over again, you are leaving money on the table, right? You're putting your buyers' kids through college instead of putting your own kids through college. You're basically you're a buyer employee. You're working for them. You don't really have a business. You're a slave to your buyers. So by opening up the ability to get your deal in front of more buyers, drive more demand for your deal, you can actually sell your deals at where the market would actually pay. So a lot of people are selling their deals under what the market would actually bear for those deals.
Right.
Okay. Why? Because they don't have access to an actual market. They just have a little list of their buddies, right? So you're not getting market price. You're getting sub-market price. So our research shows that the wholesalers nationwide that don't use InvestorLift typically are earning an assignment fee of $14,000 to $15,000 per deal. Right? You talk to any wholesaler out there that's not using InvestorLift, they'll tell you, hey, my average assignment fee is 14, 15 grand.
Yeah.
Some are going to be higher if you're in like California, Washington, whatever. Some are going to be lower. But on average, it's about 14, 15 grand. On the typical month on InvestorLift, the average assignment fees of properties sold nationwide are in the high 20s to low 30s. So it's double per deal. Double per deal.
Right.
Right?
Crazy.
Think about how many deals you're going to do the next year. Right? Imagine if you could double your assignment fees.
It's massive.
It's massive. And then the thing too is like, if I'm doing a deal and I'm making 15 grand on it, well, chances are there's some marketing costs on that. Right? My marketing costs, I might spend $5,000 just on marketing costs. So I'm down to 10 grand. Then I got to pay commissions. I got to cover overhead. I got to cover all these things. So maybe I'm only making, at the end of the day, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 off that 15 grand goes to my bottom line.
Right.
Right. Now, if I have the same cost, but I dispo at a higher price, and then instead of making $15,000 per deal and netting $5,000, I sell at $30,000. What's just happened? My net margin down to my bottom line just went from $5,000 to $20,000. So I'm actually taking home at the end of the day, not twice as much money, but 4 times as much money. So this is why like people are such fanatics for InvestorLift, because they've seen this play out in their business. And then once they realize that, it becomes indispensable to their business.
And that's exactly what you want, right? You want to become indispensable to somebody's business. You want to become like the monitor that's on this computer screen right now, where I can't function without you, right?
Yeah.
And then let's talk like further down the road. Okay, so like InvestorLift, is going to continue to get better. Like now, as you look at the whole, like you're a business guy, you're very well thought out. You've got a lot of articulate answers. So Robert, like as the big picture unfolds, where do you see yourself going? Let's say InvestorLift becomes this massive company. You do an exit, you go through Wall Street, whatever that looks like. What's next, or where do you want to go? Like where's your true passion?
Yeah. So we've only done 1% of what we're planning to do. Like this is still like day one. Our mission is to rebuild the world.
Wow. Okay, let's go into that.
If you think about it, if you go drive around, you go down to downtown Phoenix, you go to downtown San Francisco, downtown LA, downtown any major city, these cities are falling apart.
Yeah.
America's infrastructure is completely falling apart, right? Every house in America is getting worn out every day. And sometimes people come in, they fix up the houses, but the middle class, lower class is really getting squeezed financially. And they don't have the money anymore to go keep their houses in shape. Right? Like inflation is ripping a way higher percentage than incomes are increasing. It's really squeezing people. So it's creating a lot of distressed inventory. This distressed inventory is tearing neighborhoods apart, right? You get a trap house on a street, ruins the entire street, right?
Totally.
Drugs start coming in, crime starts coming in, your cost of policing now goes through the roof. You now have to start building rehab centers, and like it's a mess. It's becoming a mess, right? Yeah. And everyone's like, oh, the government needs to fix it. Anytime the government comes in and tries to fix something, whatever their policies are intended to do, it does the exact opposite. Like rent controls are a great example. Building zoning, like anytime they try to, the new wholesale regulations that are designed to protect sellers and make sellers more money, they're going to completely screw over the sellers. The sellers are going to walk out with way less money. Can
you go into that a little bit more in depth? Because you're way more familiar than I am with all the. I'm only familiar with the rules that affect me, right? I don't care about the rules in other states. So I do believe that eventually wholesaling is going to try to be nixed or something. But let's talk about not nixed, but you know what I'm saying. They're trying to overregulate it right now just because so many people are doing it.
Yeah. So like the best thing about wholesaling was there's no barrier to entry. The worst thing about wholesaling was there's no barrier to entry.
Totally.
Okay. Now they're adding a massive barrier to entry. What's going to happen is like the top guys are still going to do deals. They either find a way to work around the paperwork somehow and structure the deal differently, or they'll go and get money and get capitalized and just take the deals down. Regardless, it's going to add more cost to each deal. Now they still need to hit their margins. So what's just going to happen is they're just going to be passing those costs on to the seller, offering a little bit less. If I have to double close something and get transactional funding, if I'm paying 1%, guess what? All the offers I just made last month, this month they're 1% lower. Not only that, but let's say I did get capitalized and I have to double close things. Not every wholesaler out there is going to be able or willing to get capitalized or do whatever it needs to be done to be able to still do these deals. So in these new states that are passing new legislation, number one, it'll knock out all the noobs. So all the noobs are going to be bye-bye, which will then give the top players a monopoly on the deal flow. So when they call, it's not like them competing with 10 other guys that are also making offers. It's just their offer. And that offer is now going to be lower than it was before. So what's going to happen is in these states that are passing wholesale legislation, fast forward 10 years. If you watch this interview 10 years from now, you'll see that those states are going to have much more distressed inventory. People are going to be moving out of those states because the neighborhoods are going to be falling out because we're the ones that keep the neighborhoods nice.
Yeah.
They're going to have higher policing costs. You're going to have higher drug usage. Just anything bad, they're going to have more bad. Because us as real estate investors, we bring homes and neighborhoods back to life. And
let's go down to that. Yeah, I want to hit on that point because you follow social, you follow the comments, you know what the fuck is going on out there. And people are always saying like, oh, you greedy real estate investors, you took this shitty house in my neighborhood and and raise my property values. But what you really did is, like you said, you fixed a distressed property. You put something that may have been off the city's tax roll back on the city's tax roll. And you've put a family in a home versus a criminal element that could be in that home.
Mm-hmm. And
why do you think investors get a bad name?
Because it comes from naivety. People are just naive in the fact that they don't understand like how much goes into bringing these homes back to life.
Right.
So they think that, we're stealing equity from grandma, when in reality, the market is very efficient. These houses, like, if you talk to, I just had David Olds over here yesterday, and he's running a transaction coordination company. Half of all deals signed up by investors, even when we're buying 60, 70 cents on the dollar, half of them don't move across the finish line.
Yeah.
And even when we're buying at 60, 70%, because the reality is the buyer needs to hit their margins.
Right.
And a lot of times these properties are so effed up. They need so much work done. They have so many title issues. They got liens, they got judgments. Just getting clear title and just getting at a number where an investor can actually risk their capital and get a risk-adjusted return on their capital investment. It's very, very difficult.
Right.
The market is efficient. If the government wanted to help out homeowners, they would actually pass laws to make it easier to wholesale. If you make it easier to wholesale, the sellers then will get more offers and competition.
Yeah, or they might pass a law that like reduces their water or utility bill, or you know what I mean, or something that like could actually affect them, like, or their taxes, right? Like so they're not like getting drained by the government, right? I did want to ask you one thing that I think a lot of people don't talk about, and you brought it up, so I'm going to talk about it. Can you break down transactional funding for people who don't know what the hell that is?
Yeah, so let's say, so transactional funding, in a regular assignment, we have an A, B, and then we assign our rights to a B, C, and there's one closing that happens, right? The benefit of that is every time we sell a property, we have to pay transfer and recordation fees, a bunch of taxes on the buy, and then if we resell it, we got to pay it again. So if you're doing an assignment of contract and it's closing one day, you don't want to actually purchase the deal and then resell it. You just want to swap your contract with another contract so you don't have to pay double tax, double fees. Okay, that's an assignment of contract. That's what we typically do with wholesaling. That also removes a lot of liability for us as wholesalers because we never actually take title of the property.
Right.
Okay. We never actually have an ownership stake. As soon as you have ownership stake on a property, you now open yourself up to liabilities, to future lawsuits if things go wrong with that property, okay? Because you're owner of record. Now, with transactional funding, there are certain situations where, no, we actually do need to take ownership of the property. So with transactional funding, what happens is instead of just doing one closing, we actually take title of the property. So we close with the seller for like an hour, not even an hour, a few minutes. The money moves in and it moves out. And then we immediately resell the property to our buyer. So we're actually taking title of the property. So transactional funders, a lot of people, if you're running a wholesale shop and, let's say you're doing 10 deals a month, the average price point is $200,000 per deal. I mean, you need $2 million cash just to fund your purchases if you were double closing. A lot of beginner wholesalers don't have that kind of capital just sitting around, right? So they'll go to a transactional funder, and the transactional funder will lend them the money for a day, and usually they'll charge a 1% fee for that funding. So very useful tool. Something we're going to be introducing onto InvestorLift later this year, where if you do need it, you just press a button and you got it.
Ooh, that is going to fucking destroy people. I love that I asked that question because, I mean, we started using transactional funding in 2013. I haven't used it really since then. We figure out a lot of different ways, but I think for beginning people, like you said, when they're first getting going, it's a very important element because you're running across a problem. Can I give a suggestion on something else that you mentioned? So I like bullshit titles. I like your clouded, your judgments, your everything. Like, I don't want that deal to die. I want an opportunity to buy that deal if the property is not a total teardown, if there's a way to get clear title, because I like quiet titles. I like partial ownerships. I enjoy the chess game of real estate, right? I enjoy solving the problem. So like, I might not be the immediate close, but maybe that person could deed me over and that wholesaler doesn't have to walk away with nothing. Would you guys be open to like a scratch and dent type of, you know what I mean? Like a scratch and dent, like deals, like, you know, deals that normally go to die. Like you said before, that a lot of these guys don't make it to the finish line, but if they had the right information or they knew the right solution, everybody could get paid.
Yeah. Okay. I'll throw something out here. This is not public yet.
It's about to be.
We are launching our own title company.
Ooh, there's where the real money is. There is where the
title is coming Q3 this year.
Let me know if you need an investor in that title company, because that is where I get excited. I love that. Okay, so let's talk about that.
On the properties, one of the reasons why we're doing this is we're going to start studying why deals fall out, right? Because like high contract fall rate is like the number one cost in any investing business. So we're launching our own title. It'll be in Florida, number one, and then we're working on Texas. Texas has a lot of regulations. You got to have brick and mortar office there and everything. So we're launching in Florida, Texas this year. We'll probably layer on 4 or 5 more states this year. And then what we're going to be doing is when deals do fall out, we're going to be tracking all the data on that. And then finding ways to, like, sometimes there's ways where you can always clear any title.
Right. Court order.
Like any title issue cannot be resolved. It's just a question of how much do you want time and investment you want to make. So I think there might be an opportunity for us to create a secondary market where, like, one wholesaler is like, hey, I don't want to deal with the title issue on this one. I'm just going to let it go. But instead of just releasing it, you know, maybe he could sell that lead to Troy. Troy's like, hey, I know it's super hairy. I know this might take a year to resolve, but you know what? I'm willing to do it.
Right. Yeah, no, 100%, man. 100%. That's something that I'm interested in. Your brain is in tune with what's going on. It doesn't, and you're realizing that, like you said, you got to be able to press that button. And then what else is next? You can sell insurance too, as well. Like, I would imagine that's got to be on your next radar, because another problem with these properties, like, oh, where do I get the insurance from? I got to call this agent. Oh, it's State Farm. They're not going to insure it. Oh, it's this place. They're not going to insure it. But you're going to know what insurance companies, because you guys have all the data on stuff. Yeah. So you guys are going to know which companies provide that. That's another revenue stream for you guys as well, dude. I mean, I love what you're doing.
Yeah, we're rolling out 3 subsidiaries this year. So I'll tell you what the 3 are, and then we'll dive into them. InvestorLift Leads, InvestorLift Title, and InvestorLift Capital. So you'll be able to buy your leads, close, handle all your title, and buyers and also wholesalers that need transactional funding, all that, all in one ecosystem. And then eventually we'll layer on insurance, we'll layer on rehabbers, we'll layer on all of this. So it's just one-stop shop. You manage your entire portfolio, adding to it, showing the value of your portfolio, showing like your entire real estate life lives inside of InvestorLift.
Yeah, and it's crazy because so many people have tried to do it, even way before you. I remember when those guys, what the hell are they called now? I think it's called Fortune Builders. But the old NFL guy, they started a software where it's gone. I remember it was like The Real One or something like that. You know, the only software that you hear about in investing that people use and like you said, they're like pulling their chest out with an InvestorLift tattoo, you know, with a gang sign across it, is InvestorLift. And I think you've done a really good job with like the naming element of that. Like can you talk about like your categories and how you came up with those names?
Like God Mode and all that?
Yes.
God Mode was the first one. I just call it God Mode because it's like you're like God looking down on the map and you can just see everything. Right. It gives you that view of just everything. And then with Cartel Mode, you're working together. You know, that was inspired by Narcos. I was watching Narcos, and I'm like, Pablo Escobar, like these cartels used to kill each other all the time. They're all fighting for territory. They're all building their own supply chains. They're all trying to bribe the cops individually. Then you get Pablo Escobar, he comes along. He's like, hey, instead of trying to kill each other all the time and being at war, why don't we just band together, share resources, share transport routes, share everything? And it became some of the highest paid earners on earth after they did that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of like the wholesaling industry. Like everyone's fighting for their turf and not really working together. Everyone's building their own buyers list, one buyer at a time.
Yeah.
And like I realized when people would come on in the same city, every single one of them, these guys have big egos in our industry.
No
they're all like, they always say two things. Number one, I got the best buyers list in the city. Number two, I have every buyer in the city.
Yeah.
And then I would import their lists. And first of all, they wouldn't have every buyer. They would you'd be lucky if they had 3% of the buyers. Most people are sub 1%. And they're like, I have every buyer. I'm like, no. You're delusional. You have no idea how many buyers are in your city. But then the other thing is like, they'd be like, oh yeah, I have my buyers list is so much better than my competitors. Then like someone else in the same market would upload their list and there'd be a 97% overlap. Like, this is stupidity. We're all doing the same work over and over and over again. Let's just band together. We all throw our list together. And if we throw our list together, everyone benefits from the efficiency. Right? So that's where cartel mode came from. I'm just like, this is classic infant industry, dumbass, ego-driven bullshit that is costing everyone a bunch of money. Let's just drop our fucking egos. Let's put our list together. We're all going to make more money and do it faster. That's where cartel mode came from. And then Artemis mode, we're just kind of piggybacking off the God mode thing. Artemis mode is
it's just
drinks one night and we're looking through different Greek gods and we're like, that one works with what this feature does.
No, people love, the reason I say it is that people really love it. They really love the names. Like when I talk to people, they love it and they love the software. More importantly than that, let's talk about what we were just kind of talking about a little bit off camera. Like,
oh, by the way, hey guys, if you have a good idea for a new AI, drop it in the comments.
Yeah.
If someone comes up with a good name for our AI, I will give you 1 year free on InvestorLift if I use the name. Drop it in the comments.
Let me see if I can think of, so you're trying to think of a good name. Okay, tell me what the name is supposed to accomplish. Let's talk about that first, because to understand the name, we got to look at like politics, like the Affordable Care Act or like the Inflation Reduction Act. So like, let's get into what you're trying to persuade or your mission statement, whatever that is with the AI. I'd like to talk through this.
Yeah. So the first one is just going to give you, instead of you having to like blast your deal to like thousands of people or like call hundreds of numbers, is you could be like, here's your top 20 list. These 20 guys are going to buy this deal. Okay. And that's on the wholesaler side. And on the buyer side, instead of having to like subscribe and get like 200 emails sent to you on every single, week on every single deal that's posted in your city, like, hey, here's your daily digest of, here's your top 10, here's your top 20 for you based on what you bought in the past. That's just the first version. So we'll probably call that something, I don't know.
I'm on to something in my head. I don't know what the name is, but what I'm thinking of is it ties back to your one button push.
Yeah.
With, you know what I mean? Like the red button or something like that. Like something, you know what I mean? Like nuke mode or something. I don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it ties back to that one button and like your top, like, you think about MySpace top 8, you think about all these other things, but it goes into like that one, I think it's something around that one button thing, or, I don't know, or like robot mode or something like that,
Yeah. I don't know. I'll think of something.
Yeah. Well, we'll get some comments on. Okay. One last question. Okay. So everybody that we're talking to lately, I just moved from Las Vegas, lived in Vegas for 15 years, moved out to Kansas City 3 years ago during COVID. Everybody I talked to lately is moving to Phoenix. You're living in Phoenix. I personally think it's like Las Vegas without the fucking casinos. So I've been there. I've done that. Why is everybody moving to Phoenix right now?
Because I'm inviting them all. I moved out here and I started calling people. No, I'll tell you. So I was in Puerto Rico last year. I went out to Puerto Rico. You know, Jerry's out there. He's got a lot of videos on why he did it. I had received a big offer to buy InvestorLift, which I turned down. But I was thinking, hey, if I sell InvestorLift, I'm going to have a big capital gains tax bill. So I moved out to Puerto Rico for a year. But it's very hard to recruit in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
And the only other big real estate investor out there, you know, is Jerry. There's a few other guys, but Jerry's like the main one. So I was getting a little island fever. I came out here last fall and I spent 1 month out here. We increased our monthly, in that 1 month that I was out here, I wasn't even selling. I wasn't going to any conferences. I was just hanging out with my buddies here. But this really shows you the power of collaboration. In that 1 month I was up here, we increased our monthly revenue 70% in 1 month.
Yeah, so forget about the taxable gains.
Yeah, forget. I had scarcity mindset. I was trying to save 22% on taxes. I should just put myself in a place where I'm surrounded by other people that I can collaborate with, where I could just make more money. So as soon as I got back, I just told everyone, like, hey, pack up your shit. We're moving to Scottsdale. And when I got here in Q1, well, we got here at the end of January. Okay, so beginning of January is kind of right off. Moved all our shit. We're getting apartments and like buying furniture and doing all that while still working. In Q1, we did 2/3 of the growth we did the entire previous year.
Right.
That's the power of collaboration. So I'm out here because the ability to collaborate here just goes through the roof. And when you can collaborate more and share ideas and bounce ideas off of more really smart people, like they're all here in this one city. Yeah. Every like real estate guru in the United States of America pretty much is in this one city.
Yeah, it starts with the Godfather, the fucking Robert Kiyosaki, and then Tom Wheelwright.
Sean Terry, like all these OGs. Jerry used to be out here. And then they created a bunch, like the next generation. Then you got like Carlos Reyes, Cody Spurbers, like all those guys. So like we're now on like third generation. But it's a incredibly powerful city for collaboration, and highly recommend it for anyone. If you want to do real estate, you can wholesale from anywhere.
Yeah.
Totally. Wholesale where I'd set my roots where all the best guys in the world are at that one thing. Because if you want to become the best in the world, you got to surround yourself with the best in the world. And the best in the world are all in the city.
Yeah, sometimes that's intimidating for people, right? They'd rather just be the biggest fish in the small pond. If you want to get to the top, you got to put yourself in a room that makes you the best. And I agree with that 100%, man. I'm super thrilled that you were willing to spend your time with me, and I enjoyed it. Like I said, when I met you at Collective Genius, I recognized you right away. I was like, shit, I'm sitting down with this guy. I want to talk to him. I think that everybody in their mother knows that technology is the way. You're no fighting it. It's the digital revolution. If you're fighting it, you're going to live at home. It boils down to some of the things that you said earlier. Is like, you know, we got to hold our people accountable who are passing the laws and not worry about like the market is going to bear. Like, in fact, one of the things you said, it reminded me I was watching one of the shows I like to watch coming back from St. Louis yesterday on the plane. And when they broke up Standard Oil and JP Morgan, he got richer because then he owned like all these other oil companies. He had a piece of all these oil companies that they made him break up. And so he got immensely more rich. It did like he said, it did the exact opposite of what they intended it to do. And so it just makes a lot of sense what you're saying. And you're such a smart guy. How young are you, dude?
I am 33.
Yeah, well, you don't act like it, and I just hope that you have the most success that you can possibly have. And I know that you're reinventing the game. I can tell your convictions there, your heart's there, and I think you made the right turn when it decided to go wholesaling versus the digital journey, because I think that it's the better journey. I think it's what the market needed, and if there's anything that I could do to help spread the message, I'm here for you, man. Yeah, guys, if you're listening, check us out on YouTube. We got a new 11 out of 10 podcast, so go check that out. 100% free, and you can go listen to all the top real estate investors in the country. We shoot the shit, keep things really real. It's a lot of fun. Follow me on IG at Robert Wensley and at InvestorLift. And if you guys found value, drop us a comment. Yeah, and definitely, guys, leave us a 5-star review. Follow Robert on all of his socials. he's bringing it real, and it sounds like he's looking for feedback, and he's open to it, and he's trying to create the best product out there. I appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate you sharing your time with me. And I look forward to seeing you, I guess, in Florida in a couple of weeks.
Let's do it. We'll see you then, Troy. Thanks so much. Appreciate your time today.
Are you interested in investing in real estate, but you don't feel like you got the time to take a coaching program? I get it, right? You're busy, you're making money, and that's okay, but you want to invest with me because you're like, Troy, I like what you do. I see what you're doing. You're a real deal. Yes, I am. I'm an average Joe. I worked at Burger King. I worked at Red Robin. I started investing in real estate, and I started from absolutely nothing. And I will take you along with my journey, and you can get all the benefits, but you got to be an accredited investor. If you want to invest with me and you want to be a part of something great and you don't have the time, guess what? We're launching a fund that you can be a part of, but you got to be an accredited investor. And if you want to find out more about what that looks like, all you got to do is click the link and we'll show you exactly what that looks like. And guess what? If you're not an accredited investor, then you may down the road be an accredited investor. So definitely learn what that's all about and enjoy the podcast, and we'll see you on the next one.